we're now going to be having our conversation about the Middle Eastern opportunity. So I'd like very much to welcome to the panel on my immediate right, Nour from Maysalward, and Ahmed Alsafar, who's the co-founder of Play 3 Arabi? Is that?
Play Arabi.
Play Arabi, let's go with that. Yeah, I just put it.
Yeah.
No, the 3 in Arabic is the pronunciation of so it's Arabi.
Okay. Well, forgive me for my my pronunciation.
No,
it's the common language that the young Arabs do it over WhatsApp, and so that's the.
Oh, the 3 is the. Gotcha. So I think probably to get things started, well, let's give these guys a chance to introduce themselves. Ahmed, let's start with you. Do you want to just maybe say a little bit about what you do and?
Well, Play Arabi, we are a mobile game publisher focusing on the Arabic language. That's it.
No, publisher.
And we are always looking for new content, new games. That's what I mainly do in the recent days.
Perfect. And Nour?
So, been in the mobile gaming business for the past 15 years. So, started Maysalward in Amman, Jordan, very focused since day one on mobile games. And we are a small studio now with around, in total, 24 in Amman. And recently we started an office in Leamington Spa in the UK. With another four people, so basically very focused on emerging markets. So we start in the Middle East, and now we see ourselves in Latin America and Asia with our products. Very casual games. We build casual games, card games, dominoes, and all the classical casual games. In numbers, today we run around in total 3 million MAU over our games, and free-to-play games mainly, and our revenue stream is 90% from ads through mediation partners.
Oh, right, okay, wow. I should say also that Nour works with Pocket Gamer Middle East, so
yes.
We work with these guys to create that brand there, our version there. So we were just speaking before we came on, and we were saying that these guys are very experienced speakers, they're very experienced market experts. So I have some questions that I can ask them, but actually it may be more interesting to throw it open to the audience at any point, right from the start. So before I begin, in a kind of reversal of how we might usually approach it, is there anything that the audience wants to ask or wants us to discuss? It can be more of a discussion with you folks rather than a three-way panel. So does anyone have any burning questions about the Middle East that they'd like to ask before I launch into my questions?
No burning question, but one, when you said that you're focusing on the Arabic language, you said you're a publisher. So sorry if this is just specific.
Please, yeah.
So, in which way you're focusing on Arabic language? Do you do only that, or actually you publish games that are only made for that region, or you also try to publish games that are made, for example, in the Western world and they can be localized, for example, in Arabic?
Actually, yes, it's the third option. I'm personally working since 2009 in gaming industry, and I started localizing game from English for German companies, from English or German to the Arabic language. I personally prefer to call MENA, people call MENA like Arabic countries plus Iran plus Turkey. We can, but I usually exclude Turkey from it for some reasons. One of them that Farsi and Arabic are both written in Arabic alphabet. Modern Turkey is using the Latin alphabet. That's the first thing, the simplest difference between the two languages in terms of localization. In MENA, both Arabic and Farsi, you have to consider some limitations, especially with the government or with the culture. In the Turkish versions, usually you don't have. They have more freedom to do what they want or to publish what they want. So that's why I exclude them usually. And when I'm saying I focus on the Arabic language, because there is at least 30 to 40% from my users living outside MENA, or they are connected to app stores, US app stores, or European app stores, or Google Play. So when I say, okay, I'm only publishing in MENA region, I am kind of limiting myself, where it's not that true because I still have users from outside it.
Nour, is it the same answer?
We basically we have a different approach. So we basically look into the MENA as a market in general, because this is where we basically started and understand. We came from a feature phone background and with operator relation and distribution, and those are the markets where we understand. So the MENA for us, the MENA, including Turkey for us, because the reach is not the language, it's the gameplay, the more focus. And we, as much as I believe, and I'm a core believer on localization in terms of language, but culturalization is more important than localization in terms of language. So if you reach to the player with a proper culturalized kind of games, regardless of the language, I see there is a more playability than just the language. So then we go now, because we became more global in terms of reach. Of course, we think in a localized way as a company. So we think globally and we act locally. Language. Yes, we have this kind of Arabic player who are living in the US or abroad, and they want to play in Arabic as a language, and that's very important, and we can see them on our numbers. But our target is basically the localization in terms of culturalization more than the language itself.
Before I ask another question from the audience, then is there a particular, are there types of games that work differently in the MENA region than work elsewhere? Is there a particular genre that's popular, or is there a difference in playing style, that kind of thing?
I don't think, from my side, I think today the MENA region, it's a very good question, because it's the MENA region is like most of the major markets in the world, and it's a very good. So a lot of game developers test their games in Canada, New Zealand, etc. to when they do soft launching, and very few are testing in the MENA region. Where I see you can today do the same behavior in the MENA region, especially in countries like Jordan, where English is used as in other countries, or even UAE, big markets where also there's a big number of expats. No, the players are. I see there is two kinds. I can talk about the casual games. There's of course, it's a major casual game market, but the spenders are more in the strategic games, MMOs, RPGs, kind of game that we don't work on. Right. But it's typical. It's not China. Mm-hmm. So it's not China. It's basically similar to Europe in terms of behavior, in terms of games, and when it comes to mobile. Remember that we came from a GSM mobile background, and which is basically the same what happened in Europe, and we did not convert from online gaming to mobile like the US.
Right.
So, so the behavior is almost the same as any mobile GSM basically country.
Yeah, well, culturally we are a very competitive culture. Surely that tribal culture is still there, and people usually stay in clans. They want to be in clans. They are very social, but on the other side, they want to brag and show what they did. Mm-hmm. And that's why strategy games work very, very well. RPGs work very well. Whenever you can show that you defeated someone, or you were better, you have built higher, etc. It's almost like in real life, if you're watching the news. So that's what usually work very, very well.
You have the spenders who spend a lot of money at that stage.
Yes.
So
as well, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But still, we have like countries that don't spend well, but they play also competitive games.
Right. And those games are the ones that are monetized primarily through in-app purchases or rewarded videos, that kind of thing. So.
Exactly. I think
Rewarded, not really.
Reward. And on the casual games, yes, and on the RPG strategy games, more in-app purchases.
Yeah.
And we see that the past 2 years, things move fast in the Middle East.
Right.
I know if you look into the news or latest report, you will see the Middle East one of the highest in terms year after year growth in terms of video games revenues and in terms of mobile, and the same growth come all across the technology. So between, if you go back and we talked 2 years ago on a panel, we were just complaining about in-house purchases and credit card penetration, and there is no credit cards. Today, less than 2 years, things completely changed. Now you see more and more people spending money over their credit card, online payment, etc. Before we had to depend on prepaid card from major providers in the region. Now you don't need. You need a payment gateway to integrate and do online payment.
Right.
So yeah, it's in-app purchases is picking up when games like Ahmed said, and ads, yes, advertisement is rewarding videos is key in casual games for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the audience again. Any more questions from the floor? I can see one here. Do you know what? I'm sorry. I think my colleague's going to whiz you over a microphone, because when you speak, if it's picked up on the microphone, then the video gets it as well, because we're on camera here. So yeah, go for it.
I actually have 2 questions.
Yeah,
the
sure.
first one is about the marketing channels. So which marketing channels the publishers should consider when entering into MENA? The second one is about the language integration, which is kind of, I think, road blocker for most of the publishers when it comes to changing the UI from right to left. So I'm just asking if there is any workaround to bypass this issue. Like, can actually publishers localize the game in terms of text, but not change the UI, just keep it from left to right? So,
well, the first workout on that is to have a local partner who knows how to deal with it. But if you go alone, yes. In mobile, it's much easier nowadays. It doesn't really matter if it's right to left or left to right. People will understand and can read that. If you have the ability to change it, do, please. But if you don't have, for any reasons, cost or developer don't want to, it's not an issue. And here, again, I'm talking about mobile games. With web games, PC is totally different. There you have to be more precise with these things.
did I get it correct that you don't need to translate it in Arabic for mobile games, or?
No, not translate. You're saying about
So we can keep
changing
it
the
same
EU
UI.
from
The UI. So the UI, it's a question of will this UI work or not in terms of experience, as in terms of user experience. But is it right or wrong? It's not wrong. So if you have, for example, at your right side, the button, for example, for a certain game, and in Arabic it should be on the left side, but you kept it because you don't want technically to handle it, there is no right and wrong. So the user will not tell you that this should be on the left side. But it's all matter of, when you are an Arabic user, you see everything from right to left. So it's a matter of experience. But it's nothing wrong, especially when you go to the mobile, it's okay.
So hardcore players will play anyway.
Yeah.
So the first question was about
marketing
channels. It's almost the usual, but we in MENA use influencers a bit earlier. We had influencer even on Twitter. So yes, that's the local experience. We're testing a lot of influencers, for example. We use Twitter, sometimes good, sometimes better, sometimes it's not that much. Even the influencers, I think all over the world, you can use them only once per game. Some of them have audience that match this game, some of them not. We have the same issues also with influencers. They are getting rich, they are getting spoiled, they are too young to manage, not very professional. So it's almost the same. But if you are doing a campaign, you should know which language to use. Like if you are MENA the Arabic countries are 22 to count. Personally, I divided them to quality, quantity, and let's say none. So, and you have to know which language to use for each country. So let's say if you are talking audience in United Arab Emirates, don't use an Egyptian accent. Either you use the Arabic one, the modern Arabic, or if you have the expertise, then use their local language. That will be effective. So that's kind of things.
I'm also hearing from this, I had a follow-on question actually, but what you just said, that sort of implies that localization and culturalization actually isn't one solution either, it's multiple.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because we have only one Arabic language.
Right.
The rest is accents that even don't apply as a language in any state. So if you go like Iraq, you have 2 languages, Arabic and Kurdish. Saudi Arabia only one, Egypt only one, etc. So and
that's also, we did not reach the Maghreb.
Yeah, okay, they have Arabic and French.
Yeah,
right.
So, but there is nothing, say, like even in Morocco, that you have Arabic, Moroccan language, accent, and French. No, it's only Arabic and French. So you can always use the Arabic standard, where we use it in schools, books, government, but still, written or speaking language, what we use, is a bit different. Me, I was Iraqi born, and he is Jordanian, our neighbors' countries, but still we have our accent. We understand each other, but if we want, we can make it harder.
Yeah.
So you don't have to follow on that. You don't have to do that. If you can, it's okay, it's more effective in marketing, not in everything. Not in the game itself, not even in the forums. It's even much better if your customer support handle only in one language, only in Arabic, not goes in accent. So the players don't think, oh, you are Saudi, so you back up Saudis against the Kuwaitis and such stories.
So I will, to make it also, I will want to give you an advice when you come to the region and you want to use Arabic, use a Jordanian-based partner or a translator or whatever, because Jordan is one of the few countries that the language did not get impact from French or English. It's very pure Arabic, very, very close to basically the Saudi language, the Gulf region language. We don't have a lot of mix. This is why, if you look into today, the number of companies localizing games in the region, you will see most of them are in Jordan. The reason why the language barrier is it's totally different than the Egyptian, Lebanese, or the Maghreb area. Marketing, just quickly to tell you about marketing, it's social media is the best. If you want to launch in our region, go online, go Facebook in general. Going to the Gulf region, Twitter is good. Recently, I'm from a generation I never understood Snapchat. Recently, I started to understand Snapchat through my young team. And I was shocked that, we started to use Snapchat when Snapchat allowed to have this scrolling down and connecting a URL. So you can reach to a game from a Snapchat. I don't know if you know this feature. If you use Snapchat now, you can scroll down and you have like a link. You use Snapchat thing, then you say scroll down and go to the game, and that's worked very well in countries in the young generation, especially for casual games. So and this is cheap, and this is really good, cheap, and the conversion is really effective. Then, if you have to go, and this is from also, if you have a relation with operators in the region, it's very important. Operators can help you to reach. Tricky because you need to build this from a long time, but operators can reach and effectively reach their users.
Well, but they are very costly as well.
They are costly. You have to build a partnership model with them. So that the channels we use ourselves as when we want to reach with games. Influencers, yes, we do use influencers. Again, they became very expensive, spoiled, and very hard to deal with in the region. So we went back and we started to look into influencing our users through our own channels, through our own YouTube channels. And I think it's becoming, cheaper and more effective than using an influencer in the region. We're just testing it for the past couple of months. And this week, next week, there is an event Google is running in the region, in Dubai, focused on the YouTubers and the influence of YouTubers for mobile gaming. Which means how important the YouTube channels in the Middle East, the social media kind of channels in the Middle East.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, you mentioned Google there. Is the App Store ecosystem the same in the Middle East as will be familiar to the Finnish audience? The Apple App Store, Google Play, this kind of thing.
I love Google Play because they allow us to have direct operator billing with operators, and they allow a pricing range different than the $1 range. So certain operators in the region already integrated Google Play direct operator billing, so you can bill over the SMS. People, it's very funny in the Middle East. If you have money, as a normal person, you will buy iPhone because it's a prestigious thing. Even if it's an old version of an iPhone. Until then, you are on the Android device. But the moment you have enough money, your prestige is to hold an iPhone on the table, and that's. But usually, users have two phones in the region.
At least.
At least. So you have 2 phones with everyone almost, especially in the key markets, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Jordan. It's normal to see someone with 2 mobile phones. iOS or Android, 50-50, I will say, in general. In certain markets in Egypt, it's 90-10, 90 Android, low-end devices, mid-range devices you'll never see in Europe, like Oppo. But it's very popular in the region. In Iraq also, it's picking up the low-end devices like Oppo. I will say when it comes to casual games, it's 50-50, almost 50-50. Both of them are doing the same amount of revenues over ads. But of course, as usual, the users on iOS pays faster in-app purchases than the Android user. Committed more to reviews, the Google Player. So you go to Google Play, you see, for example, my game with 50,000, 60,000 review from a Google Player. The same game on iOS will have 10,000.
Wow.
So they are more into communication with you. The iOS users, they will pay and they will invest in in-app purchase. This is when it comes casual games.
Yeah, our experience, like mid-core, hardcore, says also that iOS will do the most of the revenues, sometimes up to 70-30 to Android. We will have, on the opposite side, more Android users, 70-30, that's about. As Nour said, yes, the devices are picking up, it's getting cheaper. So even the low specs are not that low as usual, and you can find them in the region everywhere. So that's why people are buying it and using it. But yes, iPhone is still a prestigious thingy, although it's changing a bit in the last 2 years. But still, we can see that revenues is much higher with iOS.
Right, interesting. Thank you, and thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions from the? Thank you very much. There's one just at the back here.
Thank you. Our game has quite some Arabic users as well, and like you said, you can roughly divide them into quality and quantity users. And in countries like Turkey, we see that the ARPDAU increases every year, but other countries like Egypt and Algeria, Morocco, we hardly earn any dime from our users. Do you expect that to change in the coming years? And do you maybe have any good ideas to monetize the Egyptian and the guys from Morocco in some other ways that you do?
What kind of game is that?
It's a football management game.
$1 million question.
I can help you with the Egyptian side. Also in Morocco, I will give you an example outside of the business of technology mobile games. When Signal toothpaste or Persil, detergents wanted to launch in the Middle East, especially in Egypt, they went like traditional Middle Eastern market, and they discovered that it's very tough to get into the market. And when they looked into it, they discovered the value of money in Egypt is totally different than any part of the region. $1 in Egypt is very, very high number. $1 is like, I will give you in terms of bread. If you buy baguette, it's like you buy 20 baguette with $1 in Egypt. You ride the bus for the whole month. So imagine telling someone in Egypt, pay $1 for an in-app purchase. It's very, especially today, the conversion even much higher in Egypt for $1. So I think there should be a different strategy. If you manage to get micro transaction, micro billing inside your game, and that will happen through a partnership with vast companies, value-added service companies who are integrated with operators. That will help you big time in Egypt on the Android side, because iOS, it's totally different. But on Android, that will help. So 25 cents, don't go with lower value of your in-app purchase. Just instead of selling the detergent in 1 kilo, they made it 200 grams, 200, but the same even higher price range than buying 1 kilo. So and that's my advice in Egypt. Myself, I find it always difficult to monetize in Egypt. With all my presence in the Middle East, the reason why, especially these days, so I will give you 2 examples, Egypt and Iraq. Iraq, it's more stable in Egypt than Iraq, but it's much higher to monetize better in Iraq than Egypt. The reason why the behavior of users in Iraq are coming from a pure entertainment premium background. So people who are used to pay entertainment money to get their, fun part of their life. In Egypt, no, it's totally different. How to benefit from this equation? And a lot of companies I know who basically, you said football management, right? So you need user base. You need, depend on Egypt as a user base. Put them to create this mass of player that can compete with people in the Gulf region who are paying for you, like in Qatar or Saudi Arabia or whatever. And that's the strategy that you can benefit. Because the user acquisition, you will notice in Egypt, is very low. So benefit from this low user acquisition. Don't put them in your equation in revenues, but use them to trigger competition and in other part of the region.
Well, actually, I won't recommend you to change the value of your packages in Egypt, because if you do that, like if you make the 100 gold cheaper in Egypt.
No, don't. I divide them. I said keep them keep the 100 for $1. But sell them in 20, 25, 25, 25. Yes. Don't change the value.
Yes, because if you change the value, you will end up having your other users buying only from Egypt. And we have such stories with some games.
No. Don't change it. Keep it, but just...
Actually, a colleague of mine changed it a couple of weeks ago, so I have to talk with him.
No, don't.
It
will kill you.
It's kind of a test for us to see what it will do.
But since you raised the issue with Iraq, Iraq is, whenever they will be connected to the world system, finance system, like when they ever have a credit card system, they will, I'm very, very sure they will be as good as Saudi Arabia.
The biggest, bigger
because
even.
They have the money, they don't have entertainment, they have the money and don't know what to do with it.
Yes, and that's very important for the future. If you consider by time Iraq will come back again in the financial system.
That's the problem.
That's what we are hoping for. But I will tell you from an experience, operator side experience, when we used to have value-added services or games that run through the operators, and that's 5 years, 6 years ago. We were generating revenues as much as in Iraq, as much as in Saudi Arabia. And even it's much easier in Iraq because the user is more advanced when it comes to entertainment.
And it's mentality thing. They are more competitive. Actually, if you see the news, you will understand.
So don't. If you see in your football manager right now Iraqi users and you are not monetizing well, I think don't panic. Don't try to shift away from them. Keep them. On ads level, I'm telling you now, we see more and more advertisers in Iraq coming. Slowly, but they are coming with good CPMs, and the fill rates is still low, but they are picking up. And I think by time and very short, and things move fast in politics because it's all political connected thing. And I think the financial system will be soon connected. We heard recently Iraqi banks started to reconnect through international transactions, which means that's a step towards having more connection to our world in terms of connectivity, financial.
Cool. Are there any other questions from the audience here about the Middle East opportunity? We've got a little under 5 minutes left, so we've got some time for some questions. Oh, yeah, go for it.
I have a question. Is there any comments for the most popularity game genre in Middle East market? The game genre, most popularity of the
which games people play, you mean? Or?
Yeah.
Mobile
game.
Strategy, RPG. Whatever is competitive, it's playable. Like football games is very popular as well. Like
depend on the country, the season, and in general strategy. Anything with a leaderboard. Let's say anything with a proper leaderboard.
And global chat.
Yeah, and chat.
Perhaps what are your two most successful or popular games? Are you happy to share some names of your own brands that you work on?
Mine is card games. I have tricks, Tarnib, dominoes are very, very popular. But I'm laughing because one of my games I have, it's in Saudi Arabia. It's very popular domino game, but people chat more than they play.
Yeah. Well, let's explain it this way. There is no dating chat in MENA. They are not allowed. So people are creative. Yes.
Interesting. Oh, we've got a question down here. Thank you.
I'm just curious because,
We're just going to get a mic to you very quickly so we can hear. Yeah, thanks.
Hello, is this on? Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm just curious because how is the market, let's say, because I've heard that, for instance, in certain Middle Eastern countries, there's lots of women, like female gamers compared to other countries, and they actually spend quite a bit of money also on games.
Let's say one of our greatest issues in MENA, we have a lack of statistics. It's very, very hard to have any statistic in MENA. And let's say for 3 years, I will hardly can build a case and come for a developer, tell them, okay, give me your game because we will do this and that. Most of what I tell them is just only my experience, on his experience. We cannot back it up with numbers. Until for 2 years came one good game and was that popular that always, you can see it on the US charts. I'm coming to your point step by step. So, and since then we can build a case on that popularity because we know 40% from the users are there. That means the whole is around that much. So now we can build a case and we can approach developer more comfortable. We know there is a lot of women players, but we cannot back it up with any kind of statistic. Some of the companies are doing some surveys, but from experience, I know like Facebook accounts, at least half of it are fake, that you cannot depend on them. That's why a lot of the Facebook campaigns will go wrong if you are targeting some audience and the audience, the accounts is and it's not real. So it's very hard, but we know there are women players, especially on the mobile. It's easy, it's everywhere. Let's have, say, like Saudi Arabia. There is no entertainment, actually.
And the problem with Saudi Arabia that it's changing quickly. Recently, there's a lot of rules that changed in Saudi Arabia. But before, as a woman, it's very hard to go and have your own phone on your name. So you have your husband or your brother to go to the telco and issue a line for you because you cannot do it yourself. So we, at that time, it was very hard to count the user. But I will answer your question from a different point. I run a non-for-profit organization in Jordan called the Gaming Lab, which is an entity that basically builds the capacity of young Jordanians into gaming. So we teach them in different, and we work with the guys from Pocket Gamers last year with the big indie patch, and we have a lot of activities that 40% of our game developers and designers are female. And that was even people like our friend Oscar, when he came twice to Jordan and he interacted with the community, he was like shocked to see that much number of female in one room work on games, which gives you an indication in a way or another how the behavior of gamers will.
You're doing an event again in October, right? Next month.
In November. So we have so we run the IMGA, the International Mobile Game Award, for the 3rd year. We are also the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of November. We have the Gaming Summit, and we basically managing this with the guys from Pocket Gamer. Hopefully we will have this is our 7th year right now, and we have around 500 to 600 game developers who attend the show every year. So yep, and please feel free to
attend,
to join us.
Fab, well, we're out of time. This thing here is flashing at me, so we're going to wrap it up there. But of course, are you guys around today? So if people want to find out more about the Middle East, they can meet you through the meeting system and.
Please, yeah. Anything that we can help. Again, it's a market that is showing positively a growth in the mobile, and whatever we can help to get you with us on board.
Also in football.
Yeah. So yeah, it's please feel free to reach us.
Perfect. Well, look, thank you very much to Ahmed Alsafar from Play Arabi and Nour Khrais from Maysalward. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. I appreciate it.